consistent returns, my drawdowns, and I just started perfecting the risk management. And before you know it, I went into the 90s. I had that stretch that people read about in Market Wizards, 36,000% in 5.5 years. And you could do the math, regardless if you start with $2,000 or 10,000, it turns into a lot of money, and that was the beginning of a career. So yeah.
And what are your goals right now for risk management in terms of, average stop? I know you track your numbers quite diligently, and Marky and Brandon, I'd like to hear your perspectives as well with what you guys like. But starting with Mark, what are your goals right now in terms of capping your losses and
Right.
keeping very strict risks?
So
Yeah.
we all work together, and we actually at Minervini Private Access, we have a called a Minervini Select Trade portfolio that we manage as a team, and
Hmm.
then we have our open positions where we put breakout stocks and all that. So you'll see that in real time, and and also manage our own money as well. And these guys, if you looked, and I don't know what they're doing with their own money, they don't know what I'm doing with my own money. We don't really talk about that much, but if we go back and we look at their losses, my loss, they're about the same. We're averaging anywhere between, if we're really tight, 3%, 3.5%, 4% in a market that's not very good. We might be 5, 6%, averaging 4, 5%, 6%. Line in the sand at 8%, but we stagger stop sometimes. So we'll
Right.
put like a 4 and a 12. Usually it's not even a 12. Usually it's a 10 is the max. And we might use, a staggered stop. And from there, you will still average that 8%. That 8% is a number that goes back to O'Neill, and it's a number, it's a very important number for a few reasons. Number one, if you just do the math, once you start going over 10%, the math starts working against you because losses work geometrically against you. So now, you're down 20%, it takes 25% to get even. You're down 50%, it takes 100%, right? Everybody knows this. Well, 8% is about 8% to get even. And also, when you look at charts and you go back and you go all the way back to the 1800s, we've looked at charts. I've looked at millions of charts, literally millions of charts. And we've got the research, and O'Neill had the research, and Love had the research. And going back to all the way to Jesse Livermore, when you look at these charts, you don't need more than that. Like that, if you back into the way charts fluctuate and stocks fluctuate, if you know how to enter properly, well then it will be abnormal. If you start getting 10, 15% moves, that's abnormal fluctuation and you'll know it. So that's what's necessary, and that's what mathematically works.
Yeah, perfect. Brandon, Mark, anything to add there?
Yeah, I'll just add, obviously, in terms of the risk management, we're all cut from the same cloth in that regard. And the tighter the better, Richard, is generally when people are go like, well, how tight do you like to be? Well, depends upon the setup. But the one thing I will just add, and where Mark was talking about post-trade analysis, and that process, though, is something that no one can do for you. But if you faithfully do it, where Mark was saying, I had this aha, where it was like, all right, I am drawing the